What up, Raffleaders? Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about traveling internationally because there's this recent story in the news about Tion being rejected, being turned away at the international airport in London. That is, he flew to, was it Heathrow, and from Guyana to Barbados to Heathrow, and then they turned him back and sent him home to Guyana. So if you've been following the news, Guyanese can now travel visa-free to the United Kingdom. But Guyanese are not used to international travel, especially this new generation of Guyanese who have not traveled in the time when we used to have visa-free travel to Europe. I remember back in the 1990s, I traveled without a visa to Italy and to the United Kingdom and to, parts of the Caribbean and so on. So if you were accustomed to traveling internationally, you learn certain things that you could perhaps pass on to this new generation that has not traveled internationally. And now that we are an oil-producing country with a billionaire sovereign wealth fund, $1 billion sovereign wealth fund, more and more countries are going to begin to recognize Guyana simply because of our wealth, our newfound wealth, and we're going to get perks like being able to travel visa-free. So in this video, I'm going to give my fellow Guyanese 10 suggestions for how to travel internationally in this new era of oil and gas wealth. So stay tuned. So Tion was turned away from the airport in London by the border control agents because they claimed he did not have enough cash. He only had 400 British pounds with him. And they claimed that he was planning to stay too long in their country. If he was a businessman, he probably wouldn't be able to stay away so long, right? Because he probably told them he wanted to stay for 6 months. So here are some of the things that you need to do, you should learn if you're going to travel internationally. Number one, make sure you bring money with you. You bring money to show that you have enough money to support yourself during your stay. So let's say you're traveling to London, you probably want to show that you have access to about 5,000 British pounds on entry. You don't have to have all that money in cash, but you should have evidence that you have this much money, either by traveler's checks or by credit cards or some amount of cash. I would say take about 2,000 pounds in cash, and the rest of it you should be able to show, based on a bank statement or based on your traveler's checks or your credit card, that you have access to about 5,000, maybe 10,000 pounds or more if you're planning to visit the UK. Number two, buy a return ticket before you leave. Make sure you buy a return ticket for, let's say, 28 days, because it's typical in most countries that you get annual leave on the order of 28 days. So if you are questioned by your border patrol agent and what are your, how long do you plan to stay in our country, you can say 28 days and they will understand that 28 days is typical length of annual leave. And if you have a return ticket, that is evidence that you do plan to stay for 28 days. Now you can extend your ticket, or you can shorten your trip, or you can travel elsewhere once you arrive in the country. But you must first secure your transit into the country. You must get into the country, and the way to get into the country is to prove that you are going to leave the country within a reasonably short period of time, right? Let's say you plan to stay for 28 days and they give you a 6-month visa, then you can say, okay, I'm going to extend my stay. I'm going to call the airline, notify the airline that I'd like to stay longer, and they will charge you a fee to extend your return flight, to postpone your return flight, right? But that is how you do it. You just don't show up with a one-way ticket and say, well, I don't plan to leave until, 6 months. That way, the agents, that is the Border Patrol agents, will know that you understand their rules and their concerns. They're concerned that you don't want to come and stay in their country and work illegally and so on, right? So that's number two, make sure you have a return ticket. Number three is you want to make sure that you dress properly, that you dress professionally, right? Let's say you're traveling from Guyana They're going to assume that you're coming from a poor country, even though we're now a billionaire country. They're going to assume that you're coming from a place where, a third world country and that you don't know what you're about. So what you want to do is to buy a new suit, buy some new threads, buy a suit that fits properly, you know, buy some luggage, buy some matching luggage, some new luggage, so that when you show up at these international airports, you look the part. You look like you're somebody who knows their way around. You don't look like, a country bumpkin. You don't look like somebody who is not accustomed to travel. So pay attention to the way you present yourself. So that's number 3. Present yourself professionally. Buy a suit, buy some nice luggage. Number 4, know where you're going to stay. In other words, make sure you have prepared in advance the address of the place you're going to stay, right? So make sure you have an Airbnb, or you have a hotel appointment, a hotel reservation, or if you have family picking you up, make sure you know the exact address where you're going to stay, because the Border Patrol agent will want to know where they can find you in case they need to contact you during your stay. So make sure you have a place of address of the place you plan to stay, right? Nowadays you can use Airbnb, you can go online and book a hotel, or you can just call up a friend and get their address so that you know where you're going to stay. Number 5, make sure that you give short answers to the questions that the immigration agents or the Border Patrol agents or the custom agents ask you. Don't provide more information than is requested of you. So for example, one of the questions that they will always ask you at customs is, did you pack your luggage yourself? And was this luggage with you all the time? The correct answer to that is no. Not that you didn't pack your luggage by yourself, because maybe you did pack your luggage by yourself, or maybe your wife packed it for you, or whoever. But the fact is that at some point during the journey, the luggage will be out of your possession, either in the overhead compartment where you store it in the plane, or it will be in the luggage compartment of a car, in the trunk of a car, or it could be, when you check in your luggage, the airline took it and then you didn't see it again until you picked it up at the, the carousel. So the correct answer is no, this luggage was not with me at all times, and perhaps somebody could have slipped something into your luggage while it was out of your possession. So you want to make sure you let the customs agent know that you are aware that it is possible that your luggage may be tampered with, right? So that is the reason for the question. It's a trick question, but it's trying to figure out whether you understand that somebody could have tampered with your luggage while it was not in your possession. Number 6, make sure you don't accept any packages from people at the airport. There are going to be people at the airport who will want you to take something up for them, for their grandmother or their aunt or their uncle or somewhere. You're traveling to the States from Georgetown, and somebody will meet you at the airport and say, can you take this package with you? The answer is always no. Do not accept any packages from anyone at the airport, right? Because you have to assume that packages will contain some form of contraband. They could contain drugs or narcotics or something. So you don't want to accept packages from anyone when you travel internationally. Number 7, make sure that you don't take excessive amounts of money with you when you are traveling into a foreign country. Let's say the US. You are required to declare any cash you have in excess of $10,000 US. So if you have more than $10,000 in your possession, there's a little form that they give you, customs form. When you're about to deplane, when you're about to leave the plane, they will give you a form, and you are required to declare on that if you have cash in excess of $10,000. Make sure you use that customs form and you don't declare, that you declare cash in excess of $10,000. Number 8 is related to number 7. That is, make sure you don't take excessive amounts of cash to the US. So if you're flying to the US or you're leaving the US, make sure you don't have more than, say, $2,000 or $3,000 US, because the Border Patrol will confiscate your money and they will keep it on the assumption that you are a drug dealer or that you are, courier of some form. They will make negative assumptions, because that's the problem with traveling internationally, especially if you're not an American citizen or you're not a British citizen or a Canadian citizen. They will assume the most negative things about you. They don't give you the benefit of the doubt. You're not innocent until proven guilty. So if they find you with $10,000 in cash, they will confiscate it, and you will have to hire a lawyer to get that money back, right? So if you have large amounts of money to transfer from, say, the US to Guyana, or from Guyana to the US, use the banking system. Don't try to take it in cash. Don't try to smuggle cash, because if Border Patrol finds it, they will confiscate your money. I would say don't take with you more than about $2,000 or $3,000 US dollars in cash. Make sure the rest of the money is in traveler's checks, or on credit cards, so that you can cancel your credit card if it's lost or stolen, or you can cancel your checks, but you don't lose too much in cash. If it seizes from you $2,000 or $3,000, it's not a lot of money. Okay, so that's number 8. Number 9. Number 9 is try to fly with airlines that are friendly, right? So there are lots of airlines besides the American, British, and Canadian companies that are much, much friendlier to international travelers. I had some great flights with Korean Air, right? So Korean Airlines, one of the best international carriers, I would say right up there with the best carriers in the world. There's Emirates, there's Turkish Airlines, there's them. There are lots of airlines. Nippon Airlines, Japanese company. Nippon is a great airline. And then there are a lot of these Asian carriers, from Singapore Airlines, say, or even Taiwan. Some of these airlines are less known, but are some of the best carriers, friendliest flyers in the world. I've flown, for example, with Lufthansa and some of the German carriers. These are good airlines, and they don't treat you, for example, the way you might be mistreated on American Airlines or on United Air, where I've had some really bad experiences. So fly with international carriers that will respect you. And finally, be confident. We are a billionaire country now, right? So you can fly the world with confidence. If you're a Guyanese traveling internationally, fly with confidence, because we have the money to back you up. And eventually we will have the diplomatic facilities to take care of you if you run into problems, right? So those are my 10 reasons. I will give you one bonus reason. Make sure you know where your embassy is located. So if you are flying, say, into the UK or into the US, or you're into Canada, make sure you locate your Guyanese consulate, or the embassy that takes care of citizens from your country, as soon as you arrive there, and let them know, if you can, let them know that you're here, so that they're aware of your presence, and that if you run into problems, you get in an accident, you have a medical emergency, and so on, you can be assisted by your own consulate, your own embassy. There are lots of other things you can think about. If you can think about other things like, for example, make sure you have travel insurance, medical insurance to take care of you in an emergency. If you have an accident, if you have a medical emergency, make sure you purchase some travel insurance. But if you can think of other suggestions to help new travelers from Guyana who are now taking advantage of our new visa-free status to the United Kingdom, and eventually to other countries in the world. I think we also have visa-free travel to Russia and to Ghana. So a number of other countries are coming on board and giving us visa-free travel, but a lot of Guyanese have not yet caught up with the skills and the experience to travel internationally. If you have suggestions for what we should learn or what you should know about traveling internationally to safeguard yourself and to prevent you from having bad experiences, leave them in the comments below. Let us know, what are your suggestions, what are your experiences for traveling internationally without a visa, and for having the best time ever. You want to see more content like this? Like and subscribe. In the comments below, leave your suggestions for what Guyanese can do to have better experiences traveling internationally, and specifically traveling to the UK. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening here in Georgetown, Guyana. Later!